गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। इंडिया एंड चाइना, राइट? Are we going to be in a state of armed coexistence, or are we moving towards armed friction? That is the question which I'm going to analyze today. And it's a very important issue to analyze given the nature of our relations, and they're not improving. In fact, it's the other way around, and the state of affairs in the world. Let's look at, I'll start with something very fundamental. What's been the trajectory of relations between India and China? Pre 52, we were in the state of a peaceful coexistence. In fact, I would say mutual ignorance. Pre 50s, after independence, till China got into Tibet, right? And from then to about 62, we were in our own world. I don't know how to describe it. But from then onwards, we've been in three states, and we've been always seeking this business of peaceful coexistence, but we're not there. We are at this point of time in a state of armed coexistence. So peaceful is turned to armed. Why armed? Because the bulk of our forces are still deployed there. We have just disengaged, right? We have not de-inducted or all that. The major part has not happened. Armed forces are still there. Both the armies are still facing, I wouldn't say face off, but they're still deployed across the LAC. To get back to a state of friction or armed confrontation, we never know how things will move. Leave everything else apart. So from 2020, we are in a state of armed coexistence. But in between, we've been going into a state of armed friction and coming out of it. Armed friction to down to armed coexistence. Whether it's in 2020 Eastern Ladakh and Kailash Range operations, right? One might say, no, arms were not used in the confrontations or in the friction which happened, but the arms were deployed. The weapons were deployed. Armies were completely mobilized. Air forces were ready. Go back to Doklam, 2017, same state in the Northeastern Command. Or for that matter, in Yangtze, which I have not highlighted here, we had actual fist-to-fist engagements, a lot of casualties in China, or the Chinese side. And then you go back to 1987, again, Sunrangchu. Both armies had been mobilized at that point of time. And so it was a friction, completely armed, completely deployed. And of course, we've had two actual confrontations. When I say confrontations, fights, 62, where we ended up on the wrong side of the stick, and 67 at Natula, Sikkim, we gave the Chinese a bloody nose. Interestingly, the Chinese don't talk of Natula in any of their histories. This is a feature of the Chinese. Whenever they get a bloody nose, they don't talk of it. It happened in Vietnam also. Every other place, they are the victors. But these are the four states. From armed coexistence, we thought, Kazan last year, when our Prime Minister and Xi Jinping met, the effort on both sides was, can we go into peaceful coexistence from armed coexistence? But things which are happening don't suggest so. Then the question which needs to be answered or examined is, are we going back towards armed friction, which can escalate into armed confrontations? This is the thing, this trajectory, the relationship will swing along this trajectory. And it is in this context I'd like to put across a few issues and examine how things are happening. Okay, the issues which are affecting our relationship, and someone has to understand this very well, are these which I put out. The first is relative geoeconomics. There's no doubt that China is a huge economy, much bigger economy than India. On that, there's no doubt at all. But the Indian economy is not small anymore. That's the first part. The second part is the Indian economy is the fastest growing economy, whereas the Chinese economy is struggling. So, if this is the realism, the relative geoeconomics of both economies are in opposite directions. Ours going up, there's probably coming down, and I mean, definitely this is on a decline. This induces friction, right? There's increasing confidence on our side, and there's an upward pressure being put on China. And China is putting a downward pressure to cap our economy. This is well known. We've examined it earlier. Then there's an issue of political stability versus instability. India is in a state of absolute political stability with a strong government and which is looking forward. Confident, wanted by the world for many issues. Right. On the other hand, we all know that there is instability internally in China. Every second day, everyone talks of, a replacement for Xi Jinping and all that, but we don't know that whether that's right or wrong. But the fact is that there are a lot of purges, and the very fact that so many purges are happening indicates insecurity within the Chinese system. So you have a system which is stable, the other system is unstable. Then there is global uncertainty. We are now, while our Prime Minister says we are not in the era of war, but wars are happening. Whether it's in Russia, Ukraine, which is continuing, and China comes out and says we don't want Russia to lose, so there is issue. Israel, Gaza, Iran, Syria, this whole area is in turmoil, and it is not receded. Right? And the way China has been perceived to have, reacted or acted vis-a-vis India has its own dynamics. The South China Sea, where China is in a running fight with Philippines, Taiwan, and everyone there, all the countries which claim, sovereignty over a few pieces of land there, islands. Then there are the Trump tariffs, which are having its own effect globally, but more so on China. And this is something which I will, analyze separately because it needs a separate analysis. But the fundamental thing is that Trump tariffs are affecting everyone. I mean, it's again a dichotomy. There's a big difference between the way China and USA are going about their business and their agreements, because they only reached a framework agreement to take their, entire thing forward. Whereas India is on the cusp of signing a FTA. Obsindur. Obsindur has changed our equations completely. One of the major things is India is no more reactive. Pakistan and China always felt that, look, India is a reactive nation. It will not be proactive. It will not do whatever it takes to confront both of them. But that has changed. That's changed like nobody. In fact, prior to Obsindur, the commentary in China was that, look, Pakistan has modern Chinese weapons. India has ancient weapon systems. What can India do? The victory is Pakistan's, but that has out. We know what happened, and China feels slighted. And I'll talk about it a little later. Then there's the issue of Dalai Lama reincarnation, which has been ignited. When I say ignited, it was always there. It just resurfaced and caught a bigger fire. And then both nations seek stability. Both nations know that, India and China both know that we cannot handle an unreliable USA on our own. There are talks here and there of RIC and better relations between India and China. China wants India on its side, uh, to confront USA, and India doesn't want China on its back in its own development. Various views to this. All these factors weigh in on India-China relations, right? But both of us know it. But yet, the way things are happening, you examine them, things are not going in the right direction. They're not towards peace. Definitely not towards peace. That's the point. Right. The first issue, the Quad. The first point of difference, and China is very upset by this whole story, is the Quad. And why Quad? Because in the Quad statement, there was specific mention of East China Sea and South China Sea and Chinese actions in that. And the verbiage in that was something which was not there before. It was just not there before. A couple of sentences in that pointed fingers at China. Right? Unilateral actions seeking change in the status quo by force or coercion was always there. Right? Issues which came up, dangerous and provocative actions, the verbiage, interference with offshore resource development, all these have come up now, and it upsets China. Repeated obstruction of the freedom of navigation and overflight, dangerous maneuvers by military aircraft, all this, and the maritime militia, the way they behave, unsafe use of water cannons, or ramming or blocking actions in South China Sea. All these have been highlighted in the Quad statement and said this is destabilizing the area. And the finger has been pointed at China. And India is a signatory to this statement. It's a joint statement. Virtually for the first time, probably India has pointed fingers at China. Over and above that, the critical minerals. There's a lot of issue about critical minerals, the way China is behaving with critical minerals. Well, it's in China's right to do what it wants to do because it's invested in critical minerals. It's up to China to export it to a place or not. But China has weaponized this issue of critical minerals. And China sees a threat from Quad on this. Why? And I'll show you a little later how things are playing out. China sees that India and Australia, and to a certain extent even USA, have adequate critical minerals. It's only a matter of time before they produce their own minerals, and then the Chinese dominance on rare earths and critical minerals will go. This is a worry for them. And they were getting a lot of raw material from us, which is now stopped. So there are issues in this. Then, of course, the major issue, like this has come out in Guancha, which is their hardcore tabloid Chinese, which is read by a whole lot of people, Mandarin-speaking people in China. It says Modi sent birthday wishes to Dalai Lama and China proposed to negotiate. I mean, proposed to negotiate, the verbiage is wrong because the original thing is in Chinese. There's only a translation. And they have objected to it. And we'll read about it. This is what the Chinese ambassador to India had to put out on in Twitter, right? He says it has been noted that some Indian officials recently made some remarks regarding the reincarnation of Dalai Lama. Chinese government opposes any attempts by overseas organizations or individuals to interfere or dictate the reincarnation process. Xinjiang is an inalienable part of Chinese territory. Tibetan Buddhism traces its origin to China's Qinghai Tibet Plateau. The primary regions where Tibetan Buddhism is practiced are within China. The lineage of Dalai Lama took shape and evolved within China's Tibet region. All this. Okay. So he says no interference by any external forces will be allowed. The reincarnation and succession of the Dalai Lama is inherently an internal affair. So they're very sensitive and they're coming out with strong statements. The fact that Mr. Modi has greeted Dalai Lama has caught their headlines. The fact that Mr. Kiran Rijiju, or Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, has gone and personally been in Dharamshala and is also upset them. And they see a threat. And this threat is huge. Because unrest in Tibet upsets their calculus completely. Okay. And how India behaves from here depends on how China behaves and how India perceives its own story. But whatever the way things go, will it contribute to confrontation or coexistence, armed, or friction? Will it cause friction? Obviously, these issues are causing friction. And I'm talking from a Chinese perspective. Okay. Then the issue of Pakistan. Now, China feels that India is using Op Sindoor, to slight Pakistan or to slight China, where our deputy chief has said that China is using Pakistan as a test laboratory to test their weapons and all that. And this has got a lot of press within China. And very firmly and frankly, there is a very clear move to motivate their people against all this. In fact, if you read any analysis of Op Sindoor in Chinese media, they talk of Pakistani victory, they talk of Chinese weapons functioning, overwhelming India, and India's useless response, and that India has been defeated. They gloss over what has happened to Pakistan. They gloss, and in fact, all pictures of terrorist, hideouts and all that, not those ones with those terrorist camps which we destroyed. They are depicted as schools that India destroyed Pakistani schools and public infrastructure. Mind you, this is not for international audience. They're building up within the nation. This has got a dangerous ramification. Tomorrow, if China decides that look, India is someone whom we have to teach India a lesson, because this teach India a lesson is still there in their minds. Then they need the populace with them. So they're already carrying out a propaganda within to build up their populace to think that India is its enemy. And it's a number 2 enemy after USA. And we should have no doubts about this in India or elsewhere. And what's more is galling for them is the fact that, this is just for our, what shall I say, weapon systems. And this for BrahMos. You see the list of countries which have asked for BrahMos. Almost everyone wants BrahMos. Everyone wants Akash. What does this do? It cuts Chinese influence and increases your export to the detriment of Chinese. So they are worried. And further, it has come out that their, or Atmanirbharta has succeeded. And this is what this article says. Now India thinks its Atmanirbharta has succeeded, but there are a whole lot of analysis which is done, which says no, useless. India is useless. These articles don't come out in international media. They come out in their media internally. There are a lot of contradictions in India's Atmanirbharta and it's fake. It all gets conflated with the Op Sindoor. It also gets conflated with the fact that the Rafales are useless. Now that India and France is trying to get a propaganda to say that Rafales are good, but actually they're not good. All that, and all this is catching their headlines. That China. We know that China has used its embassies so that they can point fingers at Rafale. And China has used its embassies all over the world to paint as if Pakistan has done a great job. It's all part of their cognitive warfare. But they have to sell it to their own people because outside it's not being sold. But this is a point of friction between India and China. Then there is this thing, the worry with them that India's global clout is going up. Their analysis, as per this headline, it is in doubt. It's the way they are putting it. But we know, you see the kind of reception which our Prime Minister got in BRICS. You see the kind of response we're getting in Quad. At this point of time, Trump has slapped, sanctions on everyone else and tariffs on everyone else. But India is not part of that. But that's a different story. If the FTA gets signed today or tomorrow, we'll discuss the implications of that a little later. Right? So this is, and what is galling for China is India's attitude in BRICS and Quad. Not sorry, BRICS and SCO. There are articles which I've read which says, look, India is a spoiler. It's a Trojan horse in BRICS and SCO. And especially they are worried about the SCO meeting which is to be held in August, September. They're worried that the Prime Minister won't come. If our Prime Minister doesn't, if there's no show there, it's a loss of face for China. In fact, Wang Yi is coming later this month or early part of August. He's a special representative to test waters and to mend fences. They will hype the fact that that Kailash Mansarovar Yatra has been restarted. They are pressurizing us to restart flights, which so far has not been done. Yeah, there are a lot of issues on the border. Why should you budge? And they are also worried about one major thing, that for the first time, all our ministries are acting in unison against China. Earlier, this is about 5-10 years back. Chinese chaps, when we had opened our doors to China to a large extent. Oh, the Chinese guys used to come to different ministries, talk to everyone. The coordination between ministries was not much. So they could exploit gaps between our ministries and outlooks. That's gone now. For a long time, there was a gap between our external affairs ministry and our defense ministry. Because anything to do with the border and anything to do with China was being dealt through the external affairs prism. For the first time in the history of India-China equations, from 2020 to now, to 2024, and even now, the whole story of India-China relationship has been dealt through the military prism. It's different. The results have been different. Attitudes have been different. But one thing which has happened is China has now suddenly realized that India is acting together. And that worries them. We are not divided anymore. And after what has happened in Pakistan, Op Sindoor, And the way Pakistan and China have reacted together, I think India will firm internally more. It has to happen. So this puts pressure on them. Look, they can no more play into a divided house. Okay. And the next thing they're worried is, look, India has grown and it's growing. Will it stop us from entering the global south? Because our approaches are different. Our approaches are completely different. Theirs is money backed, influence backed, coercion backed, debt traps. We don't do it that way. Many cases we've helped the global south without any aspirations of returns. And as India's economy rises and stature in world affairs rises, it is rising. Many of these countries in global south will start responding better to India. Even if they respond to India better by a notch, they will respond to China lesser by a notch. And if India gets some successes, it will be at China's expense. Remember, I always say India's growth is being perceived in China as at its expense. That's important. This is something which is now happened recently. Colombo, we're going to put up a dry dock out there. We're going to put up a port facility out. It's there. Musdown Docks has taken over. We have a stake in the Colombo dockyard, a major stake. Dockyard facility stake is putting your foot there in a big way, because you're going to make ships out there for export or for India. It is just one of your outsourced areas. And that is big. What Hamban Tota, after all their investment, could not achieve, this dry dock will, this dockyard will achieve. Why? Because India will employ locals in the dockyard. We will develop local capacities. We already got some leeway to operate one of those ports. So you are spreading. They're going to be part of our defense architecture. Whereas Hamban Tota, which they have on the 90-year-old lease or 99-year lease, some years have passed, many more are there, is not giving them benefit. And as days go by, right, that benefit will vanish, whatever the benefit they want to have. So it's of no use. So they are worried. You're making inroads. You don't have to make inroads everywhere. You make one odd case, one odd test case, and that will set off something. And that's setting off in Maldives already. Maybe the Sri Lanka model and the Maldives model will one day rub off on Myanmar, Afghanistan. Afghanistan also, it's rubbing off in a big way. So in regional dynamics, suddenly China is finding itself hemmed in. And the fact that you're giving weapons to Philippines, you're talking with Taiwan, you're talking with Indonesia, all these, it's worrying them. Indonesia especially, because Indonesia is going in for Rafales, 12 Rafales. They are looking at us for BrahMos. So China is shut out. Okay. So Indonesia is playing its games. Will do trade with China and will buy arms from the West and India and France. There's a problem there for China. The pressure on China is increasing. Once upon a time, we used to talk that the pressure on India is more, China is breathing down our neck. But these days, I find that they feel that India is breathing down their neck. And they feel that, look, how can India do that? We are the bigger economy, we are the bigger country, we want to do G2. Where is India coming from? India should stand in line in front of us. And that's not happening. If that doesn't happen, is there a case for us to teach India a lesson? So far, I have not seen this coming out, but it will come out any day. It will come out any day. Okay. Now, what is China doing about it? China has weaponized its trade and other issues already. They didn't want Chinese workers who are experienced to come to Chennai and teach Foxconn people in Chennai about their jobs and technology because they have that expertise. They said, no, we'll not come, we will not allow. So, what has happened? All the Chinese people in Foxconn in Chennai have been sent back. But Apple is not bothered. They're going ahead with the India route. And this is very important. Understand. India is today one of the important links in the semiconductor story. We are now into design of semiconductor. A new term. We are now a fabless semiconductor power. In fact, as per latest inputs, which I heard, uh, we have 20% control on design of uh, semiconductor chips, and some fabs are going to be set up. And the moment that happens, that's going to be at the expense of China. Why? We are not talking of the high-end chips. For normal purposes, you need the low-end chips. You need low-end designs. You need custom-made chips for various applications. The day we have that chips, you will see our hardware stories coming up because then you can make your processors you make already. And if you can design your own chips and you have a fab and you are heading towards Atmanirbharta in the bulk. Yeah, some high-end designs you still have to go back to TSMC and others, NVIDIA and all that. But already there is a movement on, and there are companies from Taiwan and USA who are coming to Bangalore for fabulous chip design. And our people are going there, working in their fabs and seeing it through. So there is something happening which is, antithetical to China. China is worried about this. And then they're coming out with such stories. India is in panic. Why? Because rare earth magnets, they've already weaponized it. I told you they've weaponized the workers in the Foxconn to go back. They've gone back. They're now weaponized rare earth magnets. And they said, look, if rare earth magnets are not given to India, the India's automobile industry will collapse. They are already weaponized it. They have already weaponized it, and we are now running around to see what is to be done. I'm sure something will come out of it. I'm not too worried about it. And even if we don't have, it's okay. A few EVs don't come. I'm not bothered because fundamentally I'm against EVs because the EVs means lithium-ion batteries with dysprosium-based magnets, all that. This entire chain is not actually green. It's quite red, right? It is not environmentally effective. Yeah, it's different that it weans you away from fossil fuels. If that be so, we'll wait for 2 more years, 3 more years. Let's develop our own. They're squeezing us. And connected with the critical minerals issue, which I spoke to you about in Quad. So all these are there. They're all right putting. They're not giving you tunnel boring machines. They're not there, and they have restricted their EV manufacturers to set up plants in India. Why? They want full control of it. We are not prepared to give them full control of any manufacturing. You can invest, but the Indian partner will be, the majority partner, and that was the model which China used. We are using only the Chinese model. So this is right. These are all sources of friction. They're biting into us. And then they come out with this kind of propaganda. Have a look at it. Right. This they say, and this is on Twitter. Says India, shameless India imported 120 tons of rare earths from China and sold it to Europe. As if we are a dalal. Might be right. It might be a way of helping our European friends out or the US friends out. But they're depicting us the way they feel. And this is now coming out in the open. And then they're talking about our deal which we're dealing with, USA, the tariff deal. They highlight everything, which slows down the tariff. Like, for example, when Mr. Piyush Goyal said, we will not do anything against, our interests. That got hyped up in China. And, as if India and China, USA, there is a divide. There is a divide, I have no doubt. And we'll not bow down to what USA wants us to do. If that FTA comes out, it expected to come out in any day now, maybe today or tomorrow. After 9th is the deadline, right? We are already in 9th. It's early morning in USA. In fact, it's not early morning. It's late night, 8th night. By evening, it's morning. And tomorrow, something should happen, or not a day or two. But the fact is, they're hoping it doesn't go through, right? And they've done a whole lot of analysis on all this. So you find that things are happening, and then they're coming out with stories like US shift towards Pakistan unsettles India, and it shifts the South Asia balance. So the way they're putting it is, look, China, Pakistan is already in China's pocket. We'll allow Pakistan to go towards USA, and going with USA allows Pakistan more weight. If it allows more weight, it shifts the balance towards Pakistan, South Asia, which where China will come in, and we will squeeze India. This is their calculation, and this is what comes out in all these articles. Then this thing, China wants this new club. Who's this new club? This is Bangladesh, Pakistan, and China. The guy in the center in this photo is Sun Weidong, who was the ambassador, China's ambassador to India. He's now a vice minister. He's got local knowledge, right? With his local knowledge, he is now snaring Bangladesh and Pakistan and trying to get something going. And it's not only this. It's not only this. You look at many of their articles these days. They're looking at equation with Russia, Iran, Afghanistan, China, Pakistan. Right. This is one. Then at times they come out Afghanistan, Pakistan, China. Now they have come out with Bangladesh and Pakistan and China. In some form or the other, they're trying to form some new grouping, which is to the detriment of India. So I've, over this period, about last 40 minutes, I've explained to you what are the issues China feels threatened, how they are replying to India. And as days go by, they find themselves that they don't have that influence with India. Op Sindoor has changed a lot of things. Let's not have any doubt about it. It has put doubts in China. It has put huge doubts in Pakistan. It has triggered a set of events in Pakistan which are still to unfold. Yesterday, all our Indian papers were, talking of a likely coup in Pakistan. After every event with India, there is something happening in Pakistan. So there might be a coup, which I yesterday discussed. Of course, it's in Hindi. Have a look at it. The Munir Doctrine. That's the heading. If you people have not seen, go into Gunner Shot, type in Munir Doctrine, and it'll come out. From deceiver to a dictator. So, are we looking at a dictatorship in Pakistan aided by China? All this is there, and plus the fact that now we are very clear that we are not fighting one adversary in Pakistan or China. Whenever we fight any one of them, we will be fighting more. Three. That's what our deputy chief also said, and I agree with him. And I like Rahul Singh the way he said. He was one of my, juniors. Then, well, ever since I remember, good guy, and he said the right thing, right? And I'm proud of him. So the point is that this relationship is not going, in the right direction for many reasons, right? So I'll go back to the first trajectory we saw. If you see this trajectory, okay, where are we now? We are definitely in this area of armed coexistence. We want to go towards peaceful coexistence so that let China do what it wants. But events are pushing us towards armed friction. Will that happen? If it happens, how do we respond? Do we go back, or how will USA respond? How will be the global politics? Remember the fact that Trump doesn't want to get involved in anything. He doesn't want India to get involved in anything which will upset the US apple cart. And this has been their grouse from long back. It's not new. Oh, these are the issues which are confronting us. We don't want a war. Definitely, we don't want a war. We want, peace. We need a peace dividend. We want to grow. We want to grow our own technology. And luckily, we've now come to the stage where our Atmanirbharta can really take off because there's a thinking in the atmosphere that no one will come to our help when the chips are down the next time. And now we have to see how will China put spokes in our whole story. They've already shown their hand by doing what they want. The good part is we are also showing our hand. How do you handle this Dalai Lama thing? Because that I think is a huge, danda in your hand. I go back to that Belfer Center, Harvard University analysis, which I read it in 2018 first. Very sensible. He says there might be parity of weapons, or superficially you might feel that China has got better weapons, better systems, better communication, everything. Across the LAC. But it is India which has the better equity. Because China, whether you like it or not, if push comes to a shove, they have to face with the internal situation. And with the way things are going, and this Dalai Lama business has started, reincarnation of His Holiness has started. They're not going to stop here. I mean, please understand, he's not yet passed away, he's there. And when he passes away, the search for the Dalai Lama will start. And that search won't go into Tibet. And the next Dalai Lama won't be in Tibet, because if he's in Tibet and he's not, approved by the Communist Party of China, he'll be whisked away like the Panchan Lama, so he'll be outside. But China will nominate a Dalai Lama immediately. They'll not wait. I'm sure they already have one guy ready. They'll say he's the guy. So on this side, you're going to have a gap of 5 to 10 years before, or 3-4 years before next Dalai Lama is in. But on that side, the Dalai Lama will already be in. And they'll get an older Dalai Lama. and put him, and he'll be controlled by the Chinese. He'll be a Chinese communist Dalai Lama. Will that be acceptable to us? No. They can't have it in limbo because that will put more unrest in Tibet. So this very factor, there are the combinations of the Dalai Lama factor will push us more towards confrontation and friction. Something will happen. It has to happen. The way I look at it, it'll. It might not happen tomorrow. It will not happen day after tomorrow. It might not happen 1 year hence. It might not happen 2 years hence. But definitely after that, things will happen. Something will happen, and we should be ready then. And especially considering the fact that China is internally in turmoil, so they will also like to externalize this whole story, right? So I thought, these are the issues which I thought I'll put across regarding India and China. Things are going south, and things are not in good shape. And with Pakistan, the Gulf is only widening. And if Pakistan becomes a dictatorship, a soft coup takes place, a constitutional coup takes place, and their equations become better, which are already there, or they see that, look, India is posing a threat beyond the normal to either of them, something is bound to happen. Whether it will come directly or indirectly is the issue. So I thought I'll put across all these to you, and I hope you like this video. If you like this video, press the like button. Also subscribe to Gunner Shot. And I must tell you a very strange thing which is happening, that the number of subscribers on Gunner Shot is reducing. I don't know why. I mean, out of the blue, it appears as if people don't like Gunner Shot, and of course, if there are bots who are withdrawing, I'm happy. But I'd like all of you who have watched this video, if you're not part of Gunner Shot, subscribe. I'll be grateful to you. Okay, it at least boosts my morale, if nothing else. Okay, and I'm saying it with a smile, so don't take it too seriously. I'm grateful to RK for joining me as a new member. I'll take a few questions now. Right. Yeah, my question, Tibetan conundrum in India-China issue, I explained to you, very valid, it will be there. It will not go away. And this is not going to go away. This is an emotive issue. It is not going to go away in a hurry. And it will be there for a long time to come till some stability is reached. I don't know what will happen, but it's going to be there. Yeah. Oh, Sparkly Spritz, he's joined back after a long time. I'm saying welcome back. Okay. Impact on recent changes in CCP overall offensive posture at LAC. It's not manifested. I'm just this thing I've done only as a trigger to say how things are happening. We will talk of what's happening along the LAC a little later, maybe next week sometime. Large scale desertions are taking place in PLA. No, I don't know. I've not heard of it. Right. Here, everyone is talking about Epstein coverage. Our theory is that Epstein Island was a Mossad blackmail operation now being covered. Any views? Look, to be very honest, Vasu, I'm not following it because it doesn't concern me. The Epstein story is all something to do with USA. It doesn't have any connection with India, and it's an internal matter of a factor of USA. Let them do it. If it does have an external factor, then we'll go to it. Till then, I'm not too keen on it. Right? I know fundamentally something is happening, but I don't know the whole story. I've not read it in detail. Yeah, Hans, good morning. Thanks a lot for everyone. And Akash also, good morning. Right. Yeah, our own territories would include Kailash Mansarovaras, Kailash Range, South Exide. Yeah, this is something we should start talking of. I agree with you. We should now start talking vociferously of all these. These are the action points, how you have to do. We have to talk of them, Shaksgam Tract and all that. And we should, the way I look at it, we should tell China to return Shaksgam Tract, because Shaksgam Tract can be approached over Siachen Glacier. You don't have to go through Pakistan. So we should start talking of all this. Okay. And Rupayan Deb, good morning. Ashish, also good morning. Rohan, also good morning to you. Given lessons from Op Sindur, Op Rising Land, Russia, Ukraine, the future attack from China on India will be non contact missile drone swarms. That won't work for China. Unfortunately, it will not work for China. Okay. For China, non contact warfare along the across the LAC won't work. If that has to work, China has to use heavy missiles, real long range ballistic missiles. If that has to happen, then you're looking at escalation beyond a point. And you've given me a good idea. We'll talk of the how non-contact warfare along the LAC can happen, right? In fact, I don't visualize any non-contact warfare happening. Sundaram, Ram Ram to all. But Ashish, I will go into it in a little detail, right? Yeah, being an ex-submariner, Salami Shastra to General for detailed explanation. Thanks a lot, J.S. Kumar. If you are happy with it, please tell all your friends to join in. Okay. It's clear there is going to be a competition between us, as two tigers can't live on one hill. But if the party has secret MOU with the CCP comes to power, I feel they'll. No, I don't think so. Don't give too much weight to that stupid MOU which Mr. Rahul Gandhi signed with CCP. I don't know what he signed. I mean, I don't think it has got any value. Even if that comes out, I don't think this thing. And you have to give credence and intelligence to the people of India. They will never settle. They will never select a party which has some links with China. Be rest assured. This is my view. I won't sign. I won't vote for a party which has a MOU with China. And I don't know how many will. Okay, except some chaps in Kerala and other places. But don't worry. Okay, India can't be a manufacturing hub if you have protests like you have today. I don't agree with you, and we don't have to be a manufacturing hub. We'll get there. Don't worry. Yeah, Mrs. Claire, Jai Hind to all of you, and I hope you are well. Mm, we can't choose our neighbors, but the hand never was our neighbor till 70 years ago. If they gave up Paksachin and not claim Arunachal, should we take it or press for our claims? You're talking for too far ahead. We can't, I don't think we should think so far ahead. Look, they'll never give up their claim so easily, right? पहले दलाई लामा को sort out करो, उसके बाद we'll talk of the rest. Right. Are our border villages up and about and manned? Yes, they are. Don't worry. Sunil Batwania, hey, how are you? Right. If atheist Han can successfully oppress a million Uyghurs and world says nothing, then what has stopped them from doing this to Tibet? Why even bother for any negotiation with Dalai Lama? Yeah, that's a genuine question. But the fact is that, look, what happens if for Tibet to go into a problem, okay, for Tibet to go into a problem, you don't need entire Tibet to be against China. You need about 10% of Tibetans to be against China. And if 10% of Tibetans who are armed are let loose in Tibet with some training, China is in problems. The 10 will slowly go up. And that India can do. That's the potential India has. You have enough places to inject this. That is why they are worried about Tibet. They're not worried about Xinjiang and Uyghurs because India doesn't have a direct connect with them. They are Muslims. They feel that we will not support them. And plus, Xinjiang is covered, otherwise it has borders with all Muslim nations. Their only problem is with Afghanistan. That is why They are submitted to Afghan or Taliban blackmail, and they're paying them off to ensure that the ETIM people did get in. It's a complex situation, but they're more worried about Tibet. And the fact that they have recognized the Dalai Lama, and they know that they can't have an alternate Dalai Lama till this Dalai Lama is here. And they have problems. It's not going to be easy. Tibet is a far more complicated problem for them than. Plus, the complete literatures and artifacts of Tibet are in India. Okay, their relics are in India, and India itself has its own Tibetan, Buddhist population, whether it's in Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Ladakh, Himachal. Okay, so India itself is a Buddhist, and India is a core of Buddhism with Gaya, Sarnath. If you go there, you will know. If you go to Gaya, you go to Sarnath, you go to what's this place, Vidisha, जहाँ नागपुर के पास, then you'll understand the importance of India and the Buddhist thing. Religion is worrying them. Religion always worries them. In this, we have a good hold. Are the Tibetan people in mainland Tibet and presently residing in Bharat willing to fight? That's we don't know how this will go. Let us see how it goes. They're spreading so much propaganda to underestimate India, and even their own military will start believing it. This isn't good for their voice. Yeah, that's it. That's their headache. Why should we worry about it? We'll do what we have to do. Many of us common Indians are not aware about the border issues with China and the issues we have with China. People don't know the dirty games of CCP. I do hope you have started understanding China after coming to Ghana shot. I give you two things. Of course, I also go into their economics. I go into what they're doing internally, what's happening internally, their internal politics, everything. Because if you don't know your enemy, how do you deal with him? And that is why I go into their military, I go into everything in detail. It is for all of us to understand. Look, a lot of people in the army know what I'm talking of. But there are a lot of people in the army who also don't know what I'm talking of. So it's to educate them. And the fact that all of us as people in this nation should help our armed forces, stand behind our armed forces. And we will not have that unless we are confident of our armed forces. For example, during the Eastern Ladakh crisis in Galwan when it happened, there were a lot of panic calls to me from Taiwan through USA. Look, India is going to get run over by China, and can we help you? I said, yeah, relax. You are just a tiny island. Be just cool. Nothing will happen. We will sort out the Chinese. And it happened. And that kind of confidence we must have amongst ourselves that we can sort them out. And everyone should know that we can sort them out. A lot of that has come in after what has happened in Op Sindoor. We need to maximize it. Yeah, Saurabh, thanks, sir. Thanks for another interesting section. As you said, China is energy poor. It still has a huge area. How come it has no oil wells? Geology, thanks. Yeah, thanks a lot. I hope you like this whole story. Right. China has been waging war against India indirectly, Pakis, yeah, war, all that. I agree with you. It's time for payback. Chinese semiconductor industries can be targeted. So it's not only that you can target them many ways. It's only that India has so far not chosen to do it, but we must. Yeah. Sam Keating, I cannot make peace with the fact that he keeps gobbling up territory whenever he wants without major consequences. He's captured 12% of Tibet. No, I don't agree with this, Sam. Don't get carried away by some of these fellows who are coming out in Twitter and talking. It will be mutually beneficial for both the countries because they get along well. Oh, we don't get along well. The fact that it will be mutually beneficial for both countries if we get along well. And that was the hope in the beginning of this century, 2000 to 2010. But that hope is now gone. We are no more. We are very clear that you know it will. We will not get along well, and we will not be mutually beneficial to each other. How many days Arsenal India has in? Don't worry about it, Shantanu. We have enough. Yeah, a long time back, there was a fire at semiconductor complex at Chandigarh. We were making state of the art processes then. Some call maybe, but now that's looking back where we are, and we have to take it forward. Good points are we are building 28 nanometer chips for smart TV, fridge, and other appliances, which will be out within. Yeah, it will. We will be okay. I am very sure. It's a matter of time. और इंजन है ना थोड़ा ढीला है एक बार पकड़ लिया तो पकड़ लेगा फिक्र मत करो same thing China does with Southeast Asia to sell their products. Yeah, I agree with you, but we're going to discuss this because the day after tomorrow I'll discuss this tariff business, you know, tariffs which Trump has put in the effects on China and everything. It's interesting what's coming out. Monday they were discussing we are behind in AI. I agree with you. They have gone far ahead in technology. There's no doubt. But you put your heads together, we'll be there. Don't worry. Even the best, they banned selling machines to India. Bharat is not determined enough to build their own or get alternate source of supply. It won't have Chinese subsidy, but the quality will improve. We'll do it. Don't worry. I am very confident that things will happen. Okay. After Pahalgam, people within India said it was a false flag operation done by Modi for his politics. Bihar, same said by Pakistan. This was fed to Chinese people so they can justify. Yeah, all that is there. That's part of the deal. Even today, they're saying the same thing. Um, Learned so much from the alternate media. Thanks a lot. That was yesterday. Because I didn't have flash. I gave a story of what Asim Munir is. Let's see how things roll out, and we'll talk of it as days go on. Okay. When propaganda within India is done under free speech, it's used by enemies. I agree with you. Uh, our request to His Holiness Dalai Lama, his next incarnation should be in India. It will be in India, I have no doubt. Though the process will take place, I am very clear it will be in India. CDS has not seconded General Rahul's stand of live feed from China to Pakistan. I agree, I know it. This is more diplomacy to balance things out. That's about all to control the seat. But Rahul Singh has done the right thing. So I have subscribed to both Clause and Gunner Shot, unsubscribed and plus all notification. I was not receiving notification stream on Clause notification came, but not of Gunner Shot. Shadow ban. I don't know. Let us see. Anyway, come on at 9 o'clock daily. I'm here, and 8 o'clock in the evening, or things like that. Maybe I'll start. I have a there's something I'll do. I have a WhatsApp channel, and I'll request all of you to come into the WhatsApp channel. Right? I'll put it out, and I'll start putting out on the WhatsApp channel. All right, and it's only a broadcast channel. You can just join the channel, and you will get that intimation. So that will serve the purpose. If YouTube is doing this. How Colombo dock and the deep dock in Kerala will affect Indian? Yeah, I'll do that. We'll do it separately. No hurry. Yeah, there would be two Dalai Lamas. Yeah, things. I agree with you. It will happen. All this. Let me take some other. So I have talked to some of my friends in USA, and they're all going to join. We love your podcast. Thanks a lot. Join in. I'll be grateful. Thanks for the wonderful session. Thank you for coming and joining in again. Your defense video on defense research was amazing. Yeah, tomorrow we'll talk of technologies. We'll talk of those 12 technologies. I've been speaking of it for the past 3 years, but tomorrow will be on that. And today evening, I'm going to have a thing with on Jaipur dialogues on China-Pakistan equations. So you join us at 7:15, a little early. Don't the Japanese, Koreans, and many countries have heavy machinery to replace Chinese junk? They will have. I'm sure it's a matter of time. All this will come online, but there'll be some transition issues. That's okay. Yeah. Most of people like to have analysis short clips up to 15 minutes max. Suresh, I think you are in minority the way I think and what others want. If this is what people want, please let me know. Put in your comments and then I will come only for 15 minutes and run away. Yeah, good morning. Thanks a lot for joining in, Sylvia. Mhm. I never have faith in Congress. Yeah, that's okay. Forget about it. We'll not talk of it. Yeah, with India displaying its armed forces prowess, what you shared about Chinese war philosophy and armed coexistence look high probability your views. Look, logic says armed coexistence is what we have to do. But the way things are going, we might get into a bit of a friction. That's why I thought I'll put for this. Right? Sham Tarun, thanks a lot. And Ashwant also, thanks a lot for joining in as a member for 2 months. Right? Um, yeah. So no, sir, really appreciate the long session. So we'll stick to this about 45 minutes plus questions. And morning I finish in about 45 minutes and 45 minutes, and so that I have time to interact with all of you and take your questions. Right. I'm not very particular whether you are a member or not and all. If I find the question is good, I will take it on. Right. Yeah. He says, love your data and analysis. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Right. So, Indian news magazines run under some peace wine guy spreading. That's okay. Let India is democratic. Let anyone speak what they want. Or people are smart enough to ensure the right thing is done. Yeah, I'm able to see your message. Been trying to post a question is not showing up on the chat screen. I think all whatever you put, they're coming up. Yeah, even Ita says she can see it. And Shruti says Namaskar. Thanks a lot. US has joined China both in supporting Pakistan and now Bangla too. Why shouldn't India also help China against USA? Sometimes why can't we help China in other parts of the world? Look, that's what I spoke of. We have to play this juggling game. That's why I said I examine one day the concept of RIC, how we should play this. So it's not. I'm not, and I'm not against China completely. If China tomorrow says, yeah, the border is settled, we have no issues with China. Then we can look. So we should be open. Yeah, those are the bots who left you. It's an old technique to discourage. Talk to Jaipur dialogue. That's okay. I'm not bothered. Look, I was doing this when I had 1,000 people only. On my even. I must tell you, when I started this channel, I used to get not more than 300-400 views per day, and I didn't have even 200 subscribers. Today we have more than 62,000. I have no issue. If you go, good riddance to bad rubbish. I'm not worried, but it's happening, so I just thought I'll share it with you. Yeah. Loved your video. Nice video showing Pew survey on Indian views of democracy. One chart showing India rating high also. Show US, Japan, Korea and rating bottom. It's due to bad results from alliance. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, in 15 minutes you can get deep. You can't get deep analysis of geopolitics. People are interested in 15 minutes to get entertained. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a nice word you used, armed nuisance. Let me see if I can incorporate it. Yeah. With this, thanks a lot. We finished. Join us at 7:15 in the evening. Sanjay Dikshit and I will talk about India, Pakistan, China, India, the whole works. Right? Till then, have a great day and Jai Hind.